Hey everybody, welcome back to Magic Orthodoxy. My name is David and this is a Magic Review. Hey, today we're going to look at Cubic from Francis Menotti. All right, Cubic, what is this? This is it's a Rubik's Cube trick. It's a Rubik's Cube trick, and there's two things I love. It's magic and 3x3 Rubik's Cubes, that's right. But this isn't just a normal Rubik's Cube. No, it's a Rubik's Cube with numbers all over it. It's a Rubik's Cube trick, but it's also a magic square trick. That's right, a magic square trick. Magic squares are really super strong magic, and what Francis has done with this trick has been pretty cool. So you hand the cube to a single spectator with the numbers on it. They shuffle it up to their heart's content, and they can start with the cube shuffled or solved. It doesn't matter. There's no direction. There's no funny business there. They give it a real authentic mix. Then you find a second spectator, you give them a blank deck of cards, and that's just the way Francis does it. You don't have to use a blank deck, you could use a standard deck. You take that deck, they sign their name across one, there's no force, and then that deck is thoroughly shuffled, and then two elements start to come together. You invite the first spectator back up on stage, you take the Rubik's Cube from them, they pick a color, they pick a side, and then you begin to make a magic square out of the chosen side. So you write out the grid on a tablet or a piece of paper, and then you fill in all the different squares, and then you show them that the side that they picked becomes a magic square where every single side, up, down, diagonal, horizontal, vertical, all total the same number. Now let's say their number is 23, okay? So the number is 23. You then take the deck back, count down to the 23rd card, and then that's where the signed card is. It's a Rubik's Cube trick, it's a magic square trick, it's any card to any number. Let's get on to this review. All right, so a couple questions you always ask about all of our magic reviews, and the first of which is, what is in the box? You're gonna get a nice little hard-shelled box. It pretty much only holds a Rubik's Cube, nothing else. Inside that, you're gonna get the Rubik's Cube, and it comes with the stickers already labeled with numbers, so you don't have to do anything like that. There's nothing to set up. And you're gonna get the download code to the explanational video, which is roughly 42 minutes long. Is it what I thought? It is what I thought, only because as I was watching the trailer, I kind of took the parameters, the variables, and you kind of say, well, if it can't be this, then it has to be this. You kind of use that methodology as far as trying to figure out, well, it can't be this, so you eliminate certain things, and once you eliminate certain things, you're left with kind of only one option, and it was exactly what I thought, but it didn't matter because that's kind of what I was hoping for, and it was. As far as angles go, angles are pretty clean. When Francis does this trick, he uses a sport jacket. You don't need to, you don't need to, but I think the extra pockets can help you. There is some palming and ditching in this effect, so just be warned. Can it be inspected? Absolutely. There's really nothing to find because really at the beginning of the effect, you're handing every single item you have out to the audience. So I think at that moment, they actually feel like everything was examinable. And you would do this trick probably in a parlor setting. I think that's your best option. I think a magic square would play the best with spectators so they can all, and you get that kind of gasp from the whole audience, like, oh, the numbers match, right? So I think parlor setting works best, and nobody's really gonna ask to inspect an item once a parlor trick is over with. So I think at the beginning, you get all your inspection there at the top of the trick. What's the overall quality and production value of the video? You got a lot of settings in this. Francis kind of moves around a lot. But for the most part, he's microphoned against a curtain, and you get a stationary shot that's waist high. As far as what he's gonna teach you, he's gonna do a full live performance with 2 spectators, and that one's mic'd. Then there's a living room performance that you'll get with a real working living room situation with no mic. The camera is only got 1 shot and it's pulled far back. So you get to watch all of Francis's body movements, which is nice. He'll introduce you to the magic square and kind of tell you what it is. And he'll teach you how to do the card at any number effect. He'll do another studio performance with a single spectator, so you can kind of do both sides of what would 2 spectators look like as opposed to 1, and then he'll walk you through some additional handlings. All right, so is the prop well made? This is kind of where I'm gonna I feel like the trick really kind of let me down because wouldn't you know it, I started getting into Rubik's Cubes right before I got this. So I was already dealing with a lot of cubes that are top of the line. Like, I have cubes in my collection that range from $4 all the way up to $45. So I know what a good cube should feel like, especially a speed cube. This cube feels more like a Shangshao model from distant past. Like, this is an older model. And what I've seen from other reviewers is they say this cube locks up and the centerpieces can actually pop out on them a lot. Not the center caps, but like the center tops, the center edges will pop. I've never personally had the cube pop on me. It has locked up on me a couple of times, but the pieces have never popped out. I wanted to go full throttle on this cube because I really wanted this to work. I took the entire thing apart. I cleaned off all my edges, made sure there was no plastic residue on any of my pieces. I lubed the entire thing and reassembled it, and it really didn't help that much. I don't know why. This is just not a good quality cube. This is very, I don't don't want to say it's inexpensive because I don't know how much Francis paid for these, but it's not a good quality cube. And I would almost try to offer maybe to find another way to do this. I think the best workaround for this is to start your routine with the cube already mixed. Okay, start the cube already mixed. I start by talking about Sudoku puzzles and saying that I could never do a Sudoku puzzle, but my wife knew that I was into Rubik's Cubes, so she got me a Sudoku Rubik's Cube, and I said, "You're crazy." And so that kind of explains why the cube looks the way it does, and I'll just say it's all mixed mashed, you know, it's unsolved because I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out, I can't do it. I never could do Sudoku puzzles, and Rubik's Cubes are, you know, beyond me. So here, let's use this for something else. And then when the spectator receives it all mixed up, they don't have the feeling like they have to mix it up incredibly because it's already mixed. So you could just hand it to them and say, give this a couple of turns just to get, you know, a free selection. Whereas if you gave it to them solved, they would feel like I've really got to do a lot to get this, you know, mixed up. You know what I'm saying? So I think the trick will work fine as long as your spectator is guided to mix this up carefully and slowly, and they don't need to mix it up a ton. And then we're going to arrive at a random number. All right, so how much practice does this require? Not much. There's no difficult sleights. There's really not a whole lot to practice. You watch the performance, and once you figure out how it's done, and I think you'll probably even come up with your own methodology that works the best for you. As far as setup and reset, there's practically none. The trick comes ready to go out of the box, and resetting is easy. It couldn't be any simpler. Positives. All right, so what are the positives to Cubic? Cubic is a super fun approach to Rubik's Cube Magic, which is super popular right now. Fans of this classic toy are going to be puzzled by your magical skill. Negatives. All right, so what are the negatives? You know, like we say around here, there's negatives to everything. These are just the negatives that I see. They don't have to be the negatives that you see. Like I said earlier, it's just a poor quality cube. It's just a bad quality cube. And last thing is, I just didn't understand the number system. Like if you were gonna look at this cube when it's solved, and here I'll show you what it looks like in its solved state, you would expect the numbers would go from 1 to 9 in order, right? If the cube is solved, then the numbers should be solved. That makes sense. I don't know how this is a negative for me, but maybe it's just because of my weirdness. I can't fathom why it looks like this in a solved state. I think in a solved state, I wanted the numbers to go in order. That's just me. All right, so is it worth your money? It is 45 bucks, $45. And like I said, I've purchased amazing quality cubes for $45. Granted, with this, you're getting decals that are already numbered, and you're getting the 42 minutes of instruction. Of course, you're getting the extra things that you need to do this trick. That said, I really want this trick to work. I really like it. I like it a lot. So maybe if you get yours, do the same thing I did. Take it apart, clean it, lubricate it up, and, you know, see if you can just make this work a little better. I didn't take my springs out. Maybe that's something, if you feel more comfortable with taking everything apart and taking the springs out and the screws and lubricating those as well. There's definitely tons of YouTube videos out there about how to lubricate a cube. Maybe you could take it a little further than what I did. Your other option would be to buy an inexpensive cube, like a $5 cube, and then just hand write all the stickers, you know, just hand write your numbers and you're good to go. Who would like this? Like I said, I think this works best for parlor, only because to walk around with a Rubik's Cube, either table hopping or street magic, it's kind of cumbersome. So I think this really plays the best for parlor magic, where you can control your entire environment and where you have multiple spectators, where you can have, a pad and paper brought out. I think this definitely plays best for parlor. All right, so that's pretty much everything I can say about Cubic from Francis Menotti. Of course, I want to thank Murphy's Magic Supplies for allowing me to have this so that I could do the review for you. And if you would like to purchase it for yourself, you can find it from your very favorite Murphy's Magic dealer. Thanks, bye.